Now, since my top 10 helmets that need to make a return to Halo Infinite video seem to do pretty well and people seem to enjoy it a lot, I thought, you know what, why not do a part 2? Because you guys had a lot of helmets that I hadn't mentioned, and I thought, why not make another and mention some of those helmets that you guys have brought up. The second video is going to work identically to how the first did. If you have not watched that one already, please go ahead and do so, just in case if you watch this one and wonder where's this helmet? It's likely I could have mentioned it in my previous video. There were a handful of helmets that I wanted to mention or have in the list, but I felt as though I could just save that for a part 2, and luckily you guys enjoyed that video, and I am now making a part 2 to it. I never say this at the beginning of my videos, always at the end, but like, comment, sub, it truly does mean a lot to me. We're getting very close to 500 subscribers, which is my goal. I don't really mind what comes after that, but if you would help me get there, it would mean truly a lot. Real quick, do want to add a handful of these helmets will be based off of your suggestions in the comments on my last video. When it is a suggested helmet, I will post on screen the comments that said this helmet. The other ones will be ones that I wanted to personally mention, but did not get the chance to in my last video. Now, let's not waste any more time and get straight into number 10. At number 10, we have the Warrior helmet from Halo 4 and Halo 5. This helmet I always saw as a 343 Industries EOD. Now, they don't really look too similar, but as a kid, that's just kind of how I saw it. I was never too big of a fan of the Warrior helmet, but a lot of you guys seem to be. I saw Warrior mentioned plethora of times, and honestly, I didn't even think to put it on the first list. So, since I'm not too big of a fan of it, but a lot of people seem to be, I think it fits perfectly right at number 10. Makes it cut, but I don't believe it should be higher. Though, I do definitely think it should make its way to Halo Infinite, since a lot of people seem to really do enjoy that helmet. Up next, we have my number 9 spot, and that is Raider from Halo 4 and Halo 5. Again, another helmet I was never too big of a fan of, but I always did appreciate the design of it. I had a friend who used it often, so I was very used to seeing it. A lot of you guys seem to also really like this helmet. I saw it mentioned a couple of times, and I do think that it could make its way perfectly into Halo Infinite. There are a lot of helmets in Halo 4 and 5 that are going to be on this list that I truly do believe should come to Halo Infinite. And, well, so far, Raider and Warrior are no exceptions. Now, coming in at number 8, we have the Recluse helmet from Halo 5. Now, you might be thinking, why the hell did I include this helmet? Well, I always was very fond of this helmet. I thought it was very interesting of a design, and I do recall using this when I first had Halo Infinite, or Halo 5, apologies. Because obviously I didn't have too many helmets to choose from at the beginning. I always thought that this helmet was a very interesting design. The no visor kind of suits in with the Locust helmet, which is one of my favorite helmets of all time. Though the design of that obviously is very different. It has that no visor look to it. And I kind of look at it like, well, since there are helmets with no visors in Halo Infinite and in other Halos, well, might as well include more for the people who prefer a helmet without a visor. I always thought that the design was very interesting, and I think if they rounded it off a bit more, it could look pretty damn good in Halo Infinite. Next up, at number 7, we have the Deadeye helmet from Halo 5. This helmet was extremely close to making it into my last video, but I thought the other things that I chose suited a little bit more well into the video. It was very close to also making it to my honorable mentions section of the video, but I assumed that I was going to make a part 2 to this no matter what, and thought that it was more deserving of an actual spot along the top 10. I always thought that this was such an interesting design, very, very cool looking visor, and I really do think that 343 Industries could do something very interesting with the look of this helmet in Halo Infinite. So, hopefully it makes its return, and I'm very interested to see what it would look like if it did. I also did see it mentioned in the comments, so thought it was perfect to include in this, since I wanted to put it in the last, and I saw it in the comments of the previous. At number 6, I have a bit of an interesting one for this one, and that is the Maverick helmet from Halo 5. I always thought this was such a cool looking helmet, and I thought it was very funny how such a cool looking helmet had literal cat ears. These helmet is the original cat ears of Halo. I don't know if how many people remember this helmet, but I recognized those cat ears immediately. I always thought it was funny, and I briefly used it. I think more so as a why not more than a this is going to be my helmet in Halo 5. But with cat ears being in Halo Infinite, I think it is so suiting to have the original cat ears helmet make its return to Halo Infinite. Obviously, with the cat ears helmet attachment, the little cat ears that are on the Maverick helmet would not be a thing. But if you have the cat ears attachment, you put it on there and it'll look just as it did in Halo 5. I think that that would be super interesting and super cool. And it has a giant visor. Everyone loves a good helmet with a huge visor on it. It's got such a cool shape and a nice look. I think it would be sick to see this helmet return to Halo Infinite. We have hit the halfway mark of the list, and I think it is super suiting to have right at number 5 the Scout helmet from Halo 3. The only reason I did not include this helmet in my first list was simply due to the fact that we already have 2 Scout helmets in Halo Infinite. And I do believe that since we have so many helmets that have yet to make it to the game, I think a 3rd Scout helmet could definitely wait a little bit longer. Obviously, this is the original Scout, and it does look very different from Halo Reach's Scout and then also Halo 5 and 4 Scout, or aka Celox in Halo Infinite. I saw a handful of people comment about it, so I thought, hey, why not? I think it would be cool to have all 3 Scout helmets in one Halo game. I think it would be super cool to see, and why not? But moving on to number 4, kind of a curveball here, but the Orbital helmet from Halo 4 and 5. Now, they were a little bit different between the 2 games. In Halo 4, there was a tiny little skull printed on the front of the visor, and in Halo 5, there was no skull on the front. So, I'm going to be more so talking about the Halo 5 variant of this, because I don't believe we need the little skull on the front. Unless if they made it a helmet attachment, I think that that would be pretty unique and cool. To give you the option of having something printed on the visor or not would be a very different attachment from all the other ones. So, that actually sounds pretty cool. But this is another one of those helmets that has a huge visor that this helmet I don't recall really getting much love, but I think would make a pretty good addition to Halo Infinite. Nonetheless, I thought it was suiting to make it as number 4. You might argue that it should be lower, but I thought number 4 was good. We have made it to the top 3. Now the top 3, I'm a bit iffy on. The 3rd one especially, but whatever, let's get right to it. Number 3, Copperhead from Halo 5. I always thought this was such a cool looking helmet, but I thought it kind of was just a little bit awkward looking. It was very abnormally shaped and seemed a little too big for the Spartan. So I was just thinking, if they added this, maybe tone down the size of the helmet a bit, shape it out, round it a bit more, and make it less bulky and tall and strange looking. Because other than the helmet's shape, I think this helmet looks super cool. So if they were to make it again and make it fit more to be like normal sized helmet, I think it would look super cool to be in Halo Infinite. Up next, we got the runner-up, number 2, Rogue from Halo 3. Now, in terms of this list, I would say this is probably my number 1. Maybe next to Maverick. Maverick would have been higher, but it felt as though that might have been a controversial thing to put higher. This would be my number 1, though, if it weren't for the number 1, because a lot of people are asking for what number 1 is. Either way, Rogue is such a cool and interesting design, and I always thought it was super strange how it never made its return to another Halo game. Though it is now not like one of the coolest designs. Back then I always thought it was really cool looking, and I think it would suit perfectly in Halo Infinite. I don't know if I would use it, but I think it still would be sick to see come back. Now, this brings me to the number 1 pick. A pick that a lot of people mentioned in my last video, and made me really realize I made a mistake not including this in my part 1. But my number 1 pick to return to Halo Infinite is the OG EOD from Halo Reach, not Halo 3. But Halo Reach's EOD helmet needs to make a return in Halo Infinite. This is certainly a huge fan favorite, and I know we technically have EOD, but it is a very modern 343 Industries take on the EOD helmet. I don't think the EOD helmet looks bad in Halo Infinite. I think it's a cool design, but it's certainly not the original EOD, the one that we all know and love. Yes, that its helmet attachment on the new EOD makes it look way cooler, but a lot of people don't have that. So it makes it hard for people to use that. So EOD perfectly suits #1 pick for helmets that need to return to Halo Infinite. Obviously, this is my part 2. Part 1, #1 pick, I think needs to make a return sooner, but it doesn't make EOD any less important. But that'll do it for my second part to the Halo helmets that need to make a return. Unfortunately, I won't be doing a third part to helmets that need to make a return. I found it a little difficult to decide exactly what helmets should be in this video, but I have other ideas for top 10 videos, since people always enjoy a nice little top 10 video. Sit back, relax, eat something, listen to it, and be like, oh, that's in my top 10 too. Top 10 videos are easy to make, easy to watch. So I have a couple of other ideas, no spoilers, but stay tuned for those, because I'm sure if you liked this one, you would like the ones to come as well. But that'll do it for this video. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. It's always fun to make videos like this. As mentioned in the video earlier, like, comment, sub, it truly does mean a lot, and I really hope we can make it to 500 subscribers soon. As always, I'll catch you guys soon. Hopefully I'll have another video up before the Yappening event happens next week. I'll catch you guys later.